What's up guys, it is Daki and welcome back to another video. So basically the pre-patch has dropped and it's been out for a few days now, so we've had a little bit of time to play with the talents, we've had a little bit of time to play with our classes and the class changes. So I've spent a little bit of time playing with my Blood Deathknight and my DPS on my Deathknight, so I'll do a quick overview of the Blood Deathknight right now and I'll finish up with a couple of videos with the DPS classes. Now, I didn't play the beta, I didn't play the alpha, I waited until the pre-patch came out to see what the changes were like, and that's why I haven't uploaded a video as of yet. So let's try and keep this short, let's try and keep this as quick as possible and have a look at why I've chosen a couple of these abilities and what the changes are in particular. So for the most part guys, Heartstrike is back, welcome back to Heartstrike, and if you played a Death Knight in Cataclysm, you would find that it works practically the same way. It hits 2 targets straight off the bat, generates runic power, pretty simple stuff. It is your go-to damage ability to generate threat and keep threat. Now Deathstrike works pretty much the same way it hasn't really changed. Marrow Rend, this is a new new ability they have added, and what it basically is it adds stacks of Bone Shield. So Bone Shield no longer is an ability that you click and you basically get charges and you let it dwindle itself down, and no, it is based into Marrow Rend now. You hit it, you add stacks, and that's how it works now. Your Death and Decay, pretty much the same, except for one little thing that I absolutely love about this. Your Death and Decay now, when you stand in Death and Decay, you can actually hit multiple targets with your Heartstrike, which we will cover in here. Blood Boil works the same. Now it actually applies your dot as well, which is your Blood Plague. No longer do you have 2 dots, or no longer do you have multiple diseases. You only have 1 disease now guys, and it pretty much hits as you would just a single dot. Death's Grip's there as well. Now one ability they do not mention on this is this new ability, Death's Caress. Now Death's Caress basically is the single target version of Blood Boil, where Blood Boil will infect anything in a range, also doing damage and also infecting it all with Blood Plague. Death's Caress will infect one target with Blood Plague and do some damage. So there are a few new abilities. Now as far as the talent system goes, there is a few ways to play the Blood Deathknight now, and the way that I am playing it I feel most comfortable with, and there's also a few changes in here that I would select if I was doing, let's say, a raid versus solo questing versus a 5-man. I should mention the setup that I'm doing I found extremely well in the 5-mans we've got still going, and I found it pretty well with me just going out into the world and smashing a few mobs. So, Bloodworms are back. Welcome back to the Bloodworms again. Now, the reason why I have not taken the Bloodworms as of yet is because their healing is quite low at the moment. To really utilize Bloodworms, I mean, I would personally use them for, let's say, solo questing. When you're out and about in the wild and you just wanted to use a passive heal that you just couldn't care about, focusing on, that's where Bloodworms are coming into it at the moment. The cool thing is that they will explode and heal you if you drop below 50% health immediately, regardless of the time frame. Normally, if you're above 50% health, they will burst after 15 seconds, and at any stage they will heal you for 5% of your missing health. All good and said and done. Now I'd just like to cover Blood Drinker at the moment. Now Blood Drinker is a channeled spell very similar to, say, your Breath of Sindragosa used to be, where you would use 1 rune right now, it would drain X amount of health from the target over X amount of time, and while you are draining this guys, you can move, you can parry, you can dodge, you can use defensive abilities, but you can't use offensive abilities basically. So fairly cool if you wanted that sort of playstyle, if you wanted just to do that. However, Heartbreaker. Heartstrike generates 3 additional runic power per target hit. Now the reason why I have used Heartbreaker is for the simple ability of this, Death and Decay. Now, using Heartstrike on its own, it's going to hit 2 targets. That's it, and it will generate a certain amount of runic power. When you drop your Death and Decay, you will actually hit up to 3 additional targets. So you're hitting a total of 5 targets. Very, very similar to what Cataclysm was like. So, you drop your Death and Decay, you stand in your Death and Decay, you pull everything towards you, and you just start smashing out your heart strikes. You will generate so much runic power with this Heartbreaker that you can just then use your Death Strike whenever you want to. Now Death Strike is quite costly. It's going to cost 45 runic power. So using your Death and Decay on mob pulls and your Heart Strike, you'll never run out of runic power. Trust me guys. So Heartbreaker is the way to go. Rapid Decomposition, your level 57 talent. Your Death and Decay deals 50% damage 50% more often while your Death and Decay you use your Death and Decay, and it will generate 15% more runic power while you stand in it. It's a pretty no-brainer, guys. In Legion, you will be using your Death and Decay on cooldown or whenever it procs. There's nothing else said. Now, for the other two, you guys can read this as you guys go along. I'm not going to cover every single one. There are places for them. I just don't see them yet. So this guy here, basically, while you have at least 5 Bone Shield charges, the cost of Death Strike is reduced by 5 runic power. This is cool. Additionally, your maximum runic power is increased by 10. Now, in Legion, like I said, runic power is going to be probably your go-to. Your rune system has been simplified, and you don't really have to focus on it. You don't have to worry about it. It just does its own thing. All you have to be concerned about is that they're going to recharge after you spend 3. But mostly, guys, you're going to be balancing your runic power, not so much your runes. So, having more runic power to begin with is great. Utilizing less runic power is good. So Death Strike normally costs 45 runic power per charge. With Heartbreaker, you're raking in all this runic power. It's going to be cool having 5 less runic power per Death Strike. It just simplifies down to more Death Strikes. More Death Strikes, more healing. Survivability. Quite simple there, guys. Blood Tap is Blood Tap, always been the same. It's going to stay the same. And Anti-Magic Barrier basically means it increases your maximum health while you use your Anti-Magic Shell. It has a place, it really does, and so does Blood Tap. If you liked the playstyle and the rotation of having Blood Tap in there, I quite like using this guy here. It's a simplified version of it. Now, I was using Mark for Blood, your level 60 talents. Mark for Blood's sort of like Hunter's Mark in a way. Basically, you place a marker blood on the enemy for 25 seconds. The enemy's damaging auto attacks will also heal their victim for 2% of maximum health. Now, 2% of maximum health seems pretty meh, whatever, you know. But you got to understand that this will also affect anyone else this target attacks. So if you're in a boss fight, basically, you can place marker blood on the boss, and you as a main tank might be tanking, you're receiving some healing. The off-tank taunts, guess what? They're going to receive some healing as long as Mark of Blood is on the target. Now, Tombstone, I'll just go across here for a second, consumes all blood shield charges, and for each consumed, you'll gain 3 runic power and an absorb damage equal to 3% of your maximum health for 8 seconds. I have said this numerous times to numerous people. This feels to me like an oh shit button. You're in trouble, you've got a whole bunch of mobs, you don't know what you're doing, you're running extremely low on health, or you need to, drop and move, or something in a fight. Tombstone's the way to go. It's got a 1 minute cooldown. Actually not too bad for a 1 minute cooldown. You hit it, you burn all your blood shield charges, you gain a whole bunch of runic power, you gain a damage absorption, you move on to another target. I actually don't mind this. I haven't found a use for it as of yet, but when Legion drops, I can see more uses for this coming up. Yet, I took Red Thirst. Now, basically this means spending runic power will decrease the remaining cooldown on Vampiric Blood by 2 seconds per 10 runic power. Now, this works extremely well with Heartbreaker, with this guy here, and Red Thirst. Now, these 3 here work extremely well. When you're in a 5-man and you're pulling a whole bunch of mobs and you're just dropping your Death and Decay and you're smashing out your Heart Strikes, you're raking in a whole bunch of runic power, guys. You're spending a lot of runic power, especially if you're just going pull after pull after pull, just like a Deathknight should. Red Thirst basically means that your new Vampiric Blood will just basically reset so much faster. And I should also mention at this point, Vampiric Blood also increases your health by 30% and also your healing received by 30% for 10 seconds. So the more you can keep Vampiric Blood on cooldown, the better your healer will love you, the better you'll get through. The next one down here, guys, 75% talent, 75 level talents, my apologies. Tightening Grasp. Now, a lot of people have said that this is great because it reduces the cooldown of Ghoul Fiend's Grasp by 60 seconds. It also means that your Death and Decay also reduces the movement speed of enemies by 70%. Cool, alright. But Tremble Before Me seems a little bit cooler. So, enemies damaged by your Death and Decay have a chance to cower in place for 3 seconds. Cannot suffer this effect more than once per 10 seconds, but damage can cancel the effect. Now, I've been in places where I've just gone through and chain pulled 3 or 4 groups of mobs. They're smashing me. I've used my vampiric blood. I've used a whole bunch of cooldowns, and I've just dropped my Death and Decay. Now, dropping my Death and Decay gives me a 3-second window to set up for extra pulls if something's run away. Now, it also means it interrupts spellcasting, so I can drop my Death and Decay, and we've got a 3-second grace period or thereabouts to smash the enemies. Now, it happens on a consistent basis. If the group of mobs you're attacking, or the one mob that you're attacking, lasts longer than 10 seconds, this can happen multiple times. I find this extremely cool, guys. You should use it, you should try it. March of the Damned, Wraith Walk lasts 50% longer and breaks stun, snares, and root effects. Pretty cool. Like I said, I can see places where this is going to happen and whether you will absolutely need this in maybe raids or 5-mans. At the moment, not too many places you can use it. Now, the other, on this level 90 talents, I was also using Will of the Necropolis. The damage taken below 35% health is reduced by 20%. It sounded pretty cool until I was like, okay, I don't actually get to 35% health much, and I probably won't until I start hitting legions, 5-mans and such. So, I went across to Foul Bulwark, which each charge of Bone Shield increases my maximum health by 2%. Now, health also is going to be a major factor in Legion. We've been told this by Blizzard, we've been told this on the forums many a times. So having more health per Bone Shield is a good thing, especially when you are always going to have Bone Shields, guys. Now, where Foul Bulwark will not work is if you have taken Tombstone. Basically, because you're consuming Bone Shields all the time with Tombstone, your Foul Bulwark will only sort of work passively here or there, hence why you may need to go back to a Rune Tap, hence maybe you might need to go to a Will and Necropolis. I'll leave that to you guys. I like playing with this, so let's see how it works. On the level 100 talents, we have Purgatory. Purgatory has stayed the same. It doesn't look like it's going to change. So if you used Purgatory in the past, Purgatory is basically how it is. And like I said, I have some really good fights that this might work on, especially raids, but at the moment, not using it. Bone Storm. I like Bone Storm. Basically, it's like a two-sided sword. Yeah. So basically, you can use it anywhere between 10 to 100 runic power. It's got a 1-minute cooldown, and basically you use it, it consumes your runic power, and it's a hit and forget, basically. You can go about your daily business once you've used it. It will damage enemies every 1 second, and heal you every 1 second for 1% of your maximum health every time it deals damage. Now this, I should also mention, it's for every target it hits as well. Alright, and I think it lasts 1 second per 10 runic power, so it can last a fair amount of time. This is I've used this, and this is extremely well if you've pulled way too many mobs, and you've got 4 or 5 packs of mobs, and the healer's just pumping out heals, basically, and you just go, boop, Bone Storm, I've got 100 runic power, you use Bone Storm, and you go about your daily business. The amount of healing that comes off of this, with large pulls, is quite cool. With smaller pulls, nah, not so much. It's going to be, it's alright. It's got a cool effect, but that's it. Now, Blood Mirror, on the other hand, it's a 2-minute cooldown, which is longer than I was, hoping for. But it affects the enemy with Blood Mirror. For 10 seconds, while active, 20% of damage dealt to you is redirected to the target. So once again, acts as a sort of a damage and a heal, or sort of an absorption, I guess you could call it. But basically, per 2 minutes, I'm just using this whenever I know that a boss is going to do a series of damages, or when something's coming up, or when I've pulled too much, I just go bam, and it's going to, help me a little bit. So think about it, guys. Blood Mirror would be good for, say, large bosses or raid bosses and such, and your Bone Storm would be good for a massive amount of trash that you have to take off the raid party or a 5-man. So that's the new talents, that is the new abilities. There's nothing really else said. Everything else has stayed the same for the Blood Deathknight. It feels extremely great to play. You can just continually pulling one group after another group, and you do not have to stop virtually at all, basically. I would like you to go and play around with this setup, play around with any other setups. Let me know in the comments if I've missed anything, or if you think that something else might work well with this. Thank you guys for watching, and catch you later.